Hi, I'm Dom here from Country Chat with Dom, joined by an incredible artist who's based over in Nashville. It's Levi Foster. Hi, Levi.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, more importantly? Because this is
I'm
your show.
I'm doing really good. My dad just came into town this weekend, so I'm gonna spend some time with him, taking around Nashville, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm having a great weekend.
That's
So
brilliant. I mean, it can be great, particularly when you've got friends and family who live elsewhere, to then come in. You can take them around Music City and then just, here is the sights, and they've got somewhere to crash if they need to, or that's brilliant.
exactly, yeah. It's kind of like a full circle moment for me because I grew up listening to old country music a lot from my dad. So he was an avid country music listener. So
Yeah.
lots of hours in the truck with him listening to, Merle Haggard and even older than that, Johnny Horton, stuff like that. So,
Oh,
it's
wow.
this is only the second time he's been to Nashville, and so he's having a good time.
That's brilliant. Whereabouts are you from then originally? Where are you born and raised?
I was born in a town called Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yes.
So it's just right at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So yeah, grew up there playing music. Then moved out to Nashville about 3 years ago. But I still go back there quite a bit. I have a brother, and he has three children now. So
That's
I go back
brilliant.
there and try to spend some quality time with them still.
I mean, at the point of releasing this, so just for a reference, everybody, for when I do release this chat, we are talking at the moment on the 1st of August. So just to give people a general
It's
idea of what's going on. So before we actually start talking about your album, because when this is released, obviously it's going to be closer to the time of the release. The album's called We Made Fire. Incredible album. I've listened to the majority of it now, and I'm blown away. But I
like,
want to go right back to the beginning. I want to go back to, so you mentioned living in Lynchburg. You mentioned about playing music and growing up with music. So let's go back to the beginning of where you started at music. Where was it at that point where you first strummed a guitar or first sang a note and you thought, I can do this. I'm actually really, really good.
oh, well, I never thought that I was really, really good. I just wanted to chase it. But I grew up going to the Chesapeake Bay, which is right off the coast of Virginia, and our family would go out fishing there. And there was a guy who owned the campground who would play guitar a bunch. He'd bring his guitar, and so I'm like, I don't know, 12 at this point, and he started playing a lot of these old songs that I had grew up listening to, and I was like, man, I want to play that. So he was very patient with me and showed me how to strum some chords on the guitar and showed me a lot of old folk songs, train songs, stuff like that that none of my friends knew, but I loved. 12-year-old kid, everybody wants to listen to Eminem and all that stuff at that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was really into that kind of music, and also grew up going to like bluegrass festivals, and bluegrass was a real dominant genre in that area. So I fell in love with bluegrass kind of at the same point of old country and old folk songs. So I
Yeah.
really you know loved trying to figure out the guitar, and I loved to sing at that point, and I also loved to write at that point too. There weren't any good songs, but I enjoyed doing it, and I never really thought about doing it as a living until I was a little older, maybe 16 or 17, towards the end of high school.
Yeah.
You know, I knew I really didn't want to go to college because I didn't know what I would do in the job field, what job I would do. My dad is a general contractor, so my plan B was to just frame houses with him if this music thing didn't work out. So I
I
really
mean, I can
didn't.
imagine that'd be good pay as well, so it's not too bad. But isn't it fascinating though, the fact that at such a young age they expect us to sort of know what we want to do for the rest of our lives? It's just,
Sure,
to
yeah.
me, it's
And it's a
baffling.
lot, kind of ingrained in the high school, at least when I was in high school, is like, well, if you don't want to know what you are going to do, you go to college and figure it out. Pay a lot of
Yeah.
money to figure it out.
I mean, it's a heck of a lot of money to sit down and say start a degree or start a course and then
Mhm.
realize, a year down the line, 2 years down the line that that's actually not what you want to do. And
Exactly.
it's just
Yeah.
I always seem to struggle to get my head around it sometimes. It's fascinating. But
Uh-huh.
I mean, talking about like songwriting and learning the craft, from being 12 to then being 16 and actually thinking I'm going to do this. you've got a lot of, I mean, visually, obviously the Appalachian Mountains, particularly over here in the UK and in Scotland, originally the Appalachian Mountains kind of connected.
Yes.
And there's a lot of transatlantic, like folk and Americana music, particularly around like the North area as well. And I can imagine it's the same around the Appalachian Mountains. Um, did that have any kind of like influence in your songwriting as such, or the way that you kind of like viewed the world, or
Very, very much so. I'd say, a lot of the, songs that, like you were saying, deriving from, the Scottish areas of the UK. And I think that I'm sure there's a lot of story-based songs. I used to listen to a lot of Celtic and Scottish music and just love the stories in that. And it was so reminiscent of bluegrass. And I try to, if it's not a story narrated about a specific event or whatever, at least if it's a personal story, at least there's a story being told, there's a plot. I try to stick to that facet because I feel that's where my strength is in writing. But yeah, I just clung to the stories in general when it came to music.
out of curiosity, then, can you remember the first sort of song or first sort of line that you ever sort of wrote and you thought, this is actually really good? This is a really good line, this.
Oh, maybe I guess the first like real song I enjoyed was a song I wrote when I was probably 15. And the hook was, I'm gonna be by myself with somebody else tonight, meaning like I'm tired of being left at home. Kind of like this toxic relationship kind of thing, which I didn't
That
know
is
nothing about.
good. That
I
is
was
really
15 years
good.
old, you know, but well,
I
thank you.
mean, that's something that connects with so many people. I mean, how many people have been in a relationship where you've been sat and another person's just been on the phone or they've been doing their own thing and you want to
Uh,
talk to them and you want to have a communication with them, or even you don't even have to be in the same place. You could be at work and you send them a message and then you don't get anything back. And it's like,
yeah,
well, we're together, but we're not together.
right.
That's such a strong line, that. And it works not just in relationships, but in family as well, like you
Sure.
mentioned.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
good.
Well,
As
thanks,
a
man.
15-year-old, you're made for it. This is your calling. This is your destiny. This is brilliant. And listen, like I say, listen to We Made Fire. I mean, Emerald. There's a few songs that have already been released on We Made Fire, particularly the first few songs. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely love them to pieces. The duet that you did, second track, for those who are listening to the album right now, the voices, the tones, the harmonies that you guys bring together on, it's just I was at work last night when I was messaging Julie about organizing this chat, about getting this ready. And I remember listening to it, like I think it was about 2 a.m. UK time, and actually putting down everything I was doing. And I looked at my phone and I was like, wow. It was one of those tracks that just stops you in your tracks. It was just it was such a memorable moment, and it's so recently, and it's something that'll probably stick with me now for I don't know how long.
Dang, man, thank you. You can make me blush, dude. But yeah, I had a great time recording that with Gloria Anderson. She's the other vocal on there,
Yeah.
and she's a phenomenal singer, phenomenal songwriter here in town that I met and became friends with. But yeah, you try to make it a retro sounding track, but still have a modern element to it. Which I think, it's just straight up bone country at that point. I think what a lot, you have steel and you have, kind of those older instruments. So I think, we really didn't think too far of how impactful the song would be, or, we're just trying to do a country song because me and Gloria, also grew up listening to older country, and she has a lot of that elements in her music. So I think it was a great fit to have her on it.
How did you come across Gloria then? How did the whole partnership kind of like come about?
Well, I think Nashville is a bigger city, but it's a small group of musicians that will kind of hang and
Mm.
go around together, and just through mutual friends, really. I've met so many people just at people's houses where you're having like a picking party or a jam session, and then you're like, "Hey, what's your name? You're great," and then You just strike friendships up like that.
I mean, I've been to a couple of picking parties here in the UK, and I don't play music. I'm not a musician or a singer. Obviously being a podcaster and representing, but my partner is. She's a singer and she's a guitarist. And sitting there in the corner next to me, and we're watching all these artists kind of like join in because you don't just play your own song and then move on to the next. People can join in as well, and if it's the right fit, if it doesn't sound right, you kind of like give them a side eye glance and say nah. Um, and then people, there's that mutual respect between you all to kind of like say, yeah, fair enough. I've not got the melody right, or I've not got the tempo right, or whatever it is. And it is such a fascinating kind of like place to go because usually it's not like it's a writing room session or a listening room session. It's a very intimate thing where you're usually in somebody's house and
Yeah.
you literally just get all the kitchen chairs and bar stools and anything that
Yeah.
you got to sit down and you kind of like just huddle together. That's what it was like at the picking parties I've been to so far. Is it the same for you over there?
Exactly the same. Yeah. I think that those are some magical moments when stuff kind of falls together like that. And most of the time than not, these parties are not planned. It's just like after some event, and you end up. Next thing you know, it's 6 o'clock in the morning and the sun's coming up, and you're like, "Dang, I gotta go home."
Yeah.
You're staying playing music all night, but yeah, those are the type of collaborations, or that's how the collaborations are made at settings like that. Very, laid back settings to where there's no pressure, and you really get to know somebody stylistically, and can hear the richness of somebody's voice if you're standing right next to them. So you get to know a lot about somebody in those types of settings versus just talking.
Have you ever come up with any melodies or lines in a song or anything like that from picking parties or from similar events, or did you
Oh
find
yeah. I mean, the people here are just exceptional musicians, and people that have gone to college and know all the theory about it. Which, um, looking back, I kind of wish I would have learned a little more about the theory and stuff. But it's so easy to just steal some chords from people, and people are willing to show me chords, or different melody lines that I wouldn't think of to do on the guitar, and then the next day or next week, I would implement that into a song. I've done that a bunch. I'm just
yeah.
learning new things,
Well,
always
I
learning.
saw I saw a post. I think it was on Instagram the other night, where if you was to get 5 minutes, if you was to sit down with 5 minutes for with another musician, you could learn so much more in those 5 minutes than what you could try and do just doing it yourself and doing it. You could learn 100 years worth of knowledge that's been passed down through that musician, and then obviously when you pass on information to another musician, that kind of like time frame's increasing, and I find it
Oh
just
yeah.
so wonderful. The whole kind of like family that musicians, you know, as musicians are. Everybody helps each other, and if there's a lick that's not quite right, somebody will be like, well, why don't you try it this way? Or why don't you try a slide or a bend on that? Or it's
Hmm.
just so remarkable, the music scene. And obviously, particularly from where I'm sat here, I
Hmm.
see it not as a musician, but as a fan of music. And I can understand and appreciate the level of intricacy that you as artists go through, not in just songwriting, but in, writing music, creating this piece of art.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like a common saying of if you're the best one at a jam, you're at the wrong jam. So you want to surround yourself by people that are better than you, so you can learn and immerse yourself in their styles and their knowledge. Just like anything that you want to get better at, you're not going to play tennis against somebody who's worse than you, and you're never going to grow as a tennis player. So, I mean, that's the only example I can think of. But
No, no, you're completely right. Or you could choose any sport, but yeah, it's about being humble and acknowledging that there are people better than you, but it's about learning from that, and it's just incredible. In terms of the album, then I've got my favorite. What is I'm asking you, like choosing your favorite kid here at this point. What has been the most enjoyable song to either write, perform, or record?
oh, well, that's probably like a three-part question there, because it'll vary within each
Hmm.
category of that. On that album, I enjoyed writing Frost in the Field that was with my girlfriend, just a two-way write. And yeah, wrote that one, and that's a story about alcoholism and how it can affect people and just ruin your life kind of deal. But it's a story based song, so it had a beginning, middle, end kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was great to record too because we used a lot of bluegrass implements. I was able to play mandolin on that, which I love playing mandolin if I can get a
What about
chance.
you on the mandolin?
Yeah.
You are one talented
Oh,
man.
thanks. Well, I'm still learning on that. I have a long way to go with the mandolin, but yeah, I enjoy doing that. If it's my favorite song on the album, I can't tell you because I like each song individually in its own way,
Yeah.
but if I needed to pick one, I could give you one. Um,
I mean, for myself, I was tied between obviously We Made Fire. I love the whole story and the way that the sounds are all incorporated throughout the song. I mean, starting with the water and then kind of like building up. It's just the whole senses for me for We Made Fire is incredible.
Thank you.
Olivia, I love the whole richness in the tone of your voice throughout Olivia. It's just one of those songs that it just gives you goosebumps every time that you listen to it. Another track that's already been released, obviously the first track that's on there, She's in Richmond. Again, the whole story behind that, working as hard as you can to, just to get a ring for that one
Hmm.
person. It's just the descriptions throughout it again is just so remarkable. So, I just, if I didn't have my headphones on, I'd take my hat off and doff it to you because it's just brilliant.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, man, this is the most compliments I've had all day, dude. I love talking to
You,
you.
you deserve more. I mean, it's, for people listening now, I highly recommend checking out, any of Levi's music. Um, and when the album comes out, I mean, you're spoiled for choice for whatever you want to listen to because there's a lot of albums out there that are just, there's a couple of great songs, and then the rest are just kind of like, songs that have been picked up throughout time and just to fill the album a bit. But literally every single song on your album, it can be a hit. They can all be individual hits. It's just
Thank you, man. Well, yeah, I didn't really have a concept going into the studio. I didn't even pick "We Made Fire" as the title track till like the very end.
really,
Yeah, I knew I wanted to record it, and we recorded that a lot differently than the rest of the songs on that record because we did a lot of overdubs on "We Made Fire," and we kind of built it from the drums out, and
yeah.
everything else we tracked with a live band.
Was it a
Um,
live band?
yeah, with like the rhythm section was tracked. We would do
Yeah,
over like if we wanted to do another guitar part, we would do that. But like the bass, drums, and acoustic and electric guitar was all tracked at the same time, rhythmically. And that's generally how most records are built.
hmm,
But yeah, I thought that I didn't know what this album was going to be conceptually or what the title was. I wasn't even thinking that far. I tried to get the songs that would fit, but also have live in their own world at the same time. So I was just trying to get the best songs I could because I
yeah.
had 10 songs to work with. So I was like, let me get the top 10, and just go that
How
way.
many songs did you have then in the catalog ready to sort of go into the album, or how many songs do you have kind of like pre-planned to go with?
Oh, we had probably at least double that to pick from. I think we probably had about 30 to 35 songs that was considered for this record. And whether it be it's not going to fit with the other songs or it's not as strong as a song is really a lot of different variables to why we chose what we chose. But um, my producer, Ken Coomer, who's actually my next door neighbor now, um, we did a lot of collaboration on trying to hone in on what were the right songs for this record and what he knew he could like kind of knock out of the park as a producer too.
Ken, I believe I read somewhere that he actually plays the drums on one of your songs. I might have misread that. Is that
Yeah,
right?
he played drums on everything. He did all
On
the percussion.
everything.
Yeah, he was a drummer for a group called Wilco. Do you remember that band?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so, but he's been living in Nashville he was born in Nashville. But yeah, he's been producing for probably 30 years or so. So, great guy to work with.
So how long have you been working with Ken then? Ever since you sort of moved into Nashville? And again, I just wanted to lead from that question as well. When did you actually decide to move to Nashville?
I moved to Nashville almost 3 years ago. In January, be 3 years. Yeah, I moved there and just I knew I wanted to be somewhere where original music was kind of appreciated and relished. I grew up playing just around Virginia and kind of areas around Virginia that was all cover gigs. So I at that time I was starting to write pretty heavily, and when you're playing at a bar, no one wants to hear your original music. They,
I just
they're
want to
just
get the covers.
Yeah, right. If you're not playing Sweet Home Alabama, what are you doing? So,
Go on
so
then.
we.
Out of all the covers that you might have performed around the bars, what has been your favorite cover to perform?
Oh, that's a
That's a
good
bit
question.
abstract. That's a bit abstract away from the usual, Tennessee whiskey or,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever else is played nowadays.
yeah. Anything like I'm a huge Merle Haggard fan, so if anybody requests Merle Haggard, I'm like, we can do that all night, dude. So, yeah, that, and then some people would request some kind of outlandish stuff that I would end up doing because they're paying me $20 to do it. So
Yeah.
don't do it. They're gonna feel bad about putting money in it. But I would
Has there
do
been
like,
any songs that you've been requested that you've actually had to turn down because either you don't know it or it's just too much for you or just not the right fit?
I would only turn it down if there were like kids in the crowd. If it was like some type of outdoor event, or obviously
Yeah.
kids aren't allowed in bars, but if they were wanted like crazy rap by Afro Man and there's kids in the crowd, I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, love
But I
Afro
would
Man
do
as
it
well. I mean,
I would do it at a bar if somebody requested it for sure. I've done that song a bunch.
um, back to the album then. So you've decided your 10 tracks. What was the whole process like then from saying, all right, we're going to do this track to then actually the, final complete? How was the process? How long has it taken you to get to this point where you've got it all down from the moment you first stepped into that studio?
So yeah, Ken had a great setup in the sense of, see, most times in Nashville, it's most of the studios are almost like an assembly line. Like
Mm,
we need to pump these songs out. The band will do like one, maybe 2 to 3 takes of a song, and then it's like,
yeah.
you like that? Okay, good. On to the next one. And then next week or whenever you're available, you go in and sing your final vocal on it.
Yeah.
But Ken was really great about, we track it, and then he's like, anytime you want to sing, sing. Like it could be 7 at night, it could be 9 in the morning. If you're ready vocally, sing it. So I was like, great, I'll definitely take advantage of that. So if I was feeling good, it's almost better to sing the song the day you're recording it because it's in your brain. You're already living through it already. So I really dug that process that he had set up. And yeah, I mean, after um, we pretty much would finish everything, the first week, or first 8 or 9 days, we'd have everything ready, and then we would just add on stuff if we needed or take out stuff. There's one song on that record, which is the only cover, and that's a song called Tear Stained Letter. And we did that. That was a completely live band, one take, and that was just around one omnidirectional mic. So it's a microphone that had two heads on it, and it was just
Yeah.
kind of big room mic, and we just crowded around that, kind of like old fashioned style. And that
That's
was really fun. Got to play with one of my heroes, Billy Contreras, was on that record, and he plays with Ricky Skaggs and Oliver Anthony too. He's been playing with him recently, but yeah, just Ken had a lot of cool ideas that we just kind of hopped on, and there was really no, you know, second thoughts on stuff. We would just jump into something, and then if it worked, great, and 99% of the time it worked. So
that's sometimes all you need, that 99%. Obviously there's that 1% where it could go wrong, but that's where you get a chance to re-record, re-record a take or,
yeah.
whatever you need to do. But the level of intricacy throughout the whole album, the touches of details, and like I mentioned about We May Fire with the sounds of the water, even just starting the song, you're bringing the listeners into a whole storyline, and again, just absolutely incredible incredible album. So when it does come out, please everybody check it out. I just want to bring up quickly the clock. I think it is behind you. It might be the single best clock I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. It says vinyl tap on it.
Does it? I bet you've
Yeah.
never been asked that question before. Or
No.
that said, I noticed it obviously when we first started this call, and I was like, that is a really, really cool clock. I'm gonna have to go get myself one. But
Yeah, man.
just behind here.
Yeah. Yeah. My girlfriend found that on Amazon, and I think it's a great. This is where I do like demos and stuff. So this is where I like we'll try stuff out, but I have a whole recording thing over here, and so
I
I'm
mean,
actually I'm working
I'm
on an album. Go ahead.
look.
I didn't cut you
I was
off.
just gonna say before you go into that, obviously working on the album. I'm just noticing I noticed the guitar on the wall, but I've just
Yeah.
noticed now the whole line of different guitars. I mean, that is some collection.
I might have a problem. I don't know.
It's not a problem. It's only a problem when you admit it's a problem.
Yeah.
Go on. What was you going to say?
Yeah, I'm actually working for an album that I'm getting ready to record the last couple weeks of August. So I've really been compiling songs together like since the start of this year for that, and I'm really excited to do that. That's with out in LA. I'm doing a record with Shooter Jennings. He's going to produce that. So
Really?
so
Oh,
I'm very excited
fantastic.
about that.
You're
So
you're literally almost 100 miles an hour at the moment. This is incredible. I mean, I'm not going to complain as a fan because bring it on, bring me more, bring me more.
yeah, but I'm trying to blend some elements, and I'll still keep the kind of the story based thing. I feel like um, that's kind of what I want to lean into is songs with stories. So um, yeah, it's gonna be different, but the same at the same.
I mean, isn't everything different but the same, or the same but
Uh,
different? I mean, in a way.
yeah.
I absolutely love it. Do you want to remind everybody when We Made Fire is going to be out to the world, and to let us know where we can actually find you on your social media?
Yeah, so August 29th, We May Fire comes out. And you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and I have a website. It's all Levi Foster Music. So levifostermusic.com, and that's my handle for all my socials. So thank you.
Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for coming on. It is an incredible album. Everybody, when it comes out on the 29th, make sure you get it checked out. Check out some of the songs that have already been released on there. Again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.